What's up, everybody? Let's begin.
Lose! I don't lose! I win! I win! That's my job! That's what I do! There is no tomorrow!
Focus on what you're doing. Get better at what you're doing. Everything else is a complete waste of time.
It's not over until I win!
Hello. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope everyone had a good week and are enjoying your beers, your drinks, your food, your family over the course of this weekend. Bitcoin, let's get into it. We are now looking at the weekly chart, and the price action the past week or so has been, to say the least, brutal. Now, what has materially changed from the last time I did an update on the price for Bitcoin is that the price has very comfortably taken out this low, right? So I've kept mentioning, the price has been on the underside of the 50-week moving average. Completely get the fact it's a key indicator, it's a key price pivot that every market participant looks at. But guys, the market structure on the price has not broken. So you formed a low, a high, a lower low, a higher high, lower low. So the structure kind of higher highs and lower low stayed consistent. That has changed, right? So this pivot of 74K has been taken out by the price. So the market trend as such is now officially changed. It's a downtrend post the break of this block of pivot of around 74K. And why it's material is because that was the significant invalidation point on the bull thesis that if this price block was to hold, stay put, act as support, then this price target or the bull thesis for price going to 140 to 160K conservatively had a high probability that it would do that. That's changed, right? We got to see the market as to what it presents versus the market I or you, to our likings, want it to be. That's just not how it works, I'm afraid. Where does that leave us? So market structure is broken. Probability wise, I am now not going to go with the focus that the price in the next 6 months or whatever, or in the short interim at least, is going to make new all-time highs unless the price tells us otherwise, which we'll talk about it. Okay. Is there a bull thesis of sort? What's the next play? What's the next trade in this market that I'm looking for? If you would recall, in the last market update I did, I talked about this swing failure pattern where I was expecting even for this bull thesis to kind of come to fruition, right? Yeah, it's weak. It got rejected from this weekly pivot or this weekly resistance. And since then, when we were here somewhere, I was saying, it looks more probable that this low, which was formed in April of 25, is more likely to be taken out. And then if the price was to find its way back up to this low of 2025 and reclaim, then that's a swing failure pattern, and that kind of adds to the probability that the market would find its way back up around 100 plus K, and then we'll kind of evaluate whether that's a relief rally or that genuinely is a rally which takes the price to the new all-time highs. Okay, I was expecting the price. So if you look this block here at around 67, 71K, and then this block here. So this was the previous range in which Bitcoin, I think, spent almost about 6 months, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then finally it broke out of. So this range, 6 odd plus month of range, and the high end of that range, this block, and I was expecting the price to come to like this 69, 70K, and then kind of traverse its way backwards to see if that swing failure pattern would kind of come to fruition or not. Clearly, the price sliced and buttered through all of this, and it, to be very precise, reversed at around 60K. That number 60K is also very interesting. If you think about it, let's do this together, right? So back when the market formed the last top of 2021 cycle, yes, in theory, the price kind of made a high of 64, almost 65K. 69 is what the ultimate top price point of the market was, but really the kind of the round number that stuck with the 2021 cycle, and that that top number, round figure, was about 60K, if I'm honest. So if you see from, I think this price pivot onwards, right, 59,526, yeah, just few pennies short, right? So let's maybe bring on to, yeah, look, that's round figure 60, right? 59,985, 60K. Okay. Yes. 65, we breached by a few grands, came back, got rejected from the 60K price point, came back up, made a deviation, came down, tested that price round figure number, and then ever since went into that, from that point on, it's like into a bear market. So 60K to my head was the round figure which stuck with me as the high for the 2021 cycle. So I thought it would be good to mention as an observation in the current drawdown of the market and the price pivot from which the market, at least in the very interim short term, has kind of reacted as the buyers have stepped in. Okay. Now I am looking, am I still optimistic if the swing failure pattern can come to fruition? Well, yes, but low probability unless the price tells us otherwise. But the first kind of immediate objective for the price would be to get dailies, to start getting daily closes above this range. So this is currently at about 71K. So first objective for price would be to start getting daily closes above this weekly pivot range high from the last range. Okay. That then increases the probability that there is a likelihood where it breaks up, forms few daily highs or daily closes here, breaks back above, swindles here a bit, and then maybe that's the relief rally which takes us to this supply zone here. That's the swing failure pattern. But overall, I think from an expectation standpoint, just looking at how beat down the market is, I'm looking at the RSI. I've just brought this up. You would notice that in the past, looking to the left of the price history and the momentum, the RSI is in a zone from where in previous cycles the bear markets have ended or concluded, right? Am I seeing any divergences which kind of indicates the trend is about to reverse? No. But does that still give us a high probability where the relief rally at the bare minimum is potentially forming? High probability. So the next trade, I think, is the bounce to play and bank on. And that's strictly coming from how beat down the price is, the RSI being in levels where the market has reversed in the past. There's also then the gold stuff that I can bring up shortly. It's beat down. Bitcoin has just capitulated against gold, right? I don't think these are opportunities you would let go. So yeah, completely. That's what my thesis is. I think a relief rally play is the next trade, and then we'll take a stock of the situation later. But like I said, because this pivot is now broken, I'm ruling out this scenario of a new all-time high for Bitcoin as a high probability unless something materially different changes on the price. A relief rally, yes. And when I say relief rally, again, the two pivots I kind of am looking at is, let's bring up the 50-week that has acted as a strong resistance thus far, right? So the 50-week moving average for sure, which currently stands at 99 or round figure 100K. That's where we are. By the time price starts to make its way up for that relief rally, maybe it's still trending down and it's in this zone. So the relief rally, if it comes, is again 80, 90K. Don't know. So that 50-week, the test of that 50-week moving average, at a minimum, when the relief rally comes, which I think is what the market is setting itself up, is objective number one. The second objective would be that it goes a bit, it finds some sense of euphoricness in the market, and it goes, throws a wick or something. There are multiple ways this can shape up, but effectively it's the Fibonacci retracement to the golden ratio and the 0.786, which will bring the price to around, look, 0.618, and I'm doing this live with you guys. So 0.618, this price pivot of resistance from where the last rejection happened and where much of the order block and supply demand is sitting, concludes with 0.618. Objective number one, 95K. Objective number two would be the October 10th low, which is 107, which again coincides with the 0.786. So 50-week moving average, 0.618 of the retracement and 0.786 of the retracement. So of those three price points is what I think the next trade is in terms of the relief rally is what I think is more likely to happen next, instead of price continuing its beat down. I'm not saying that cannot happen. I'm saying just probability wise, I think a relief would make more sense now. And the first kind of signs for that would be to see some daily closes above 71K. So nothing, what I'm saying doesn't have an invalidation, right? If we consistently start to see weakness of the price and price not forming daily closes above this, then the likelihood in that scenario is price finding its way to this block, which is the 50 to 53K. Putting the moving averages on top of it, it almost kissed the 200-week moving average. Looking in the past, the price did kind of slice through the 200-week moving average, gave a brief rally in the 2022 bear market. So is the market, when we say at this point, as the market stands today, is it where the market was in 2022 here? Yeah, could be. But that's what I said. We need to see the price. So if we kept observing that the price is forming or establishes daily closes under this range, so that's under 67K, yeah, not just that it would be at these levels, but I think there will, well, if it gets to this level, then it has already breached that lower end of the 200-week moving average band, right? So somewhere around here is where I think the price will find itself, which is the 50K level. So that's where I think Bitcoin is, and the scenarios of what I believe the market would present with the invalidations. I'm leaning more towards maybe in the next week or so, depending on how the daily closes go. We'll come to the daily in a bit. But I think given how beat down the price is and the gold to Bitcoin kind of a narrative, these are capitulation levels. So I would bank on the fact that we see a relief rally and look for opportunities that present the maximum ROI. I'm not a big leverage based trader or anything, so most or all of what I do is spot. So I want to make sure on this next retracement move I bank the most on spot positions in coins, which will give me a bigger ROI than Bitcoin, and then that usually are the alts, right? The select few alts. Let's quickly take off the drawings and just see where the indicators stand today. So heavy resistance under this cluster of 50 and 20, finding supports, a big gap here still. So tells me there might be a bit more fuckery around between these two blocks until there's further contraction between these bands, and then we'll see how the price behaves to that contraction. Bollinger, well, this is good to see, right? Breach of the lower Bollinger Band, a kiss of the precise lower end of the Bollinger Band, and for now is holding. So the sell pressure seems to be reduced or stable as of now, and buyers stepping in. So that's good to know. And the middle basis of that stands at around 94, in line to this supply demand cluster. Adds to the weight of the fact that I was saying a relief rally might be the next move in the market. The standard Ichimoku, horrendous. Horrendous to say the least. It takes time for Ichimoku to kind of set itself up and indicate when the momentum changes from a price standpoint, and then have that reflected with its Kumo, etc. So standard Ichimoku is just horrendous, and is giving a story that it's in the early stages of bear market, which will be I don't know, for the next 6-8 months might be more painful, but then presents the maximum opportunity. Again, we'll see how that price plays out, right? More cleaner version of the 50-week moving average, nothing different. So that's where we are. Again, note the fact, just to bring out the doings, the RSI is literally in a capitulation zone, right? So convert that to the monthly. If you see that, this zone has marked the end of whatever downtrend, call it bear market, and then has reversed. Still quite a bit to go to the lower end of that range, but it's right about there, right? Look, like I said, this block which you saw on the weekly here, right? Look at the monthly. It's a 6-odd month of price consolidation in this cluster, right? I don't think it will just simply slice and butter through and take all of this liquidity in one single move. Probability wise, very low. So a relief is what I'm going with as the next move of the price and this market. Okay, on the daily then, just to see if I am missing anything on the daily. This is that false breakout. This pivot we've discussed was critical. Broke through it. Everyone would have banked on this low. All that liquidity stop losses got taken away. This is that zone, 50 odd K. There's the consolidation there. So if price gets to this level, I think it's an insta long bid, as I've had that level marked out for quite some time. What is the price doing in the meantime on the daily for this price block, where we said it's the block for the previous range high? It's attempting to find its way on the upside, but these wicks, if you would notice, right, from these levels, it tells us there's sell pressure there, right? So that's the first point of validation. Is the price on the daily able to close above 70K, 71K? 3 daily closes, 4 daily closes, consolidates at that level, shows some strength in the momentum, and then we get a gold candle or a giga candle taking us above here. That adds high confidence on my trade thesis that a relief is more likely rather than further downside. If that doesn't happen, then scenario 2, you wait for the price to get to this long bid zone, 50, 53K, and it's a blind long for me. When I say long, for leverage, etc. And in the interim, the trade would be you play range to range, right? So you would look to play this range should the price get to this level. So have your stops or whatever at around here. And then don't try and oversmart the market. Just go range to range, right? Have the price come here. Spot if you want to leverage trade 3, 5x. Be on the safer side of things, and then just take this 8.6 hour trade and be happy with it, and then chill. So yeah, those are all the scenarios on the daily. Then horrendous looking set in terms of the moving averages. So in instant, there you go. Yeah, all these short-term moving averages, the cloud, everything is under the long-term moving averages, right? So yeah, on a daily, it's a horrendous looking chart confirming the downtrend on the daily, and we've just with the 74K price pivot being taken out, the downtrend is now more established on the weekly as well. So that's where we are with Bitcoin. Like I said, my immediate kind of thinking goes to bank most on the opportunity if this idea of relief rally comes to light, which I think is the high, is an alt, no doubt, right? So going quickly on to the weekly, let's see what the percentage terms mean. So from this low, I don't think most of us would have got the 60K. So relief rally to pivot number 1 is about a 50% return to 0.618, which is about 100K, is about 70, and then to this zone is about, so yeah, you're looking within the range of 50 to 100% move from the recent lows at about 60K, which is on Bitcoin. Let's quickly look at Bitcoin dominance. I don't see any strength of this, right? So again, I've continuously maintained this thesis over the course of these videos, which I've started to put more frequently in the recent month or so. It's a period of frustrating folks who think all season has been in the making for the last 3 odd years, or ever since the 2021 top, but has not happened. And folks have just sold their spot positions they have held for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, some holding from 2018, 2019 onwards. They've sold all of that, their Litecoins, their XRPs, their ADAs, their whatnot, right? That crowd has more or less gone. And what would be a more optimal time to do an alt season than now? Again, not for all alts, for alts who have strength against Bitcoin, for alts who falls to the narrative which the market wants to trade in or have the liquidity flow into, right? Even if, so that this relief rally at a bare minimum, I'm contemplating, given that 74K price pivot has broken. And if that has broken, let me just bring up for a brief moment my primary Bitcoin chart, right? And what I'm saying, there's a relief rally which is coming. Now those three price pivots around 50-week moving average, 0.618 and 0.786 of the retracements I've illustrated. But this scenario of new all-time highs was with the fact that 74K holds. The cycle has not finished. There's a swing failure pattern or in some form or shape. This price keeps hovering around this block and then we get to new all-time high. Probability wise, I'm excluding that. Okay, so now I'm playing or thinking of this market with the switch in the trend has already been accepted, right? We've broken the market structure. So at bare minimum or at least is the relief rally. Now, what does that mean is that I would expect the market to retrace or continue its major downtrend from that point onwards. Okay, so that would mean you get to whatever, either one of those price pivots, or if I'm honest, it could be just up until, testing this block and getting rejected and continuing. We'll see how that, whatever is the, whatever are the legs of that relief rally and how far it can go. No one can see the future, right? But a relief rally is just an interim relief, right? You would expect then the major trend of the asset to continue, which is where all of these kind of price points come to mind as potential targets or opportunities where the bear market or the major downtrend of the asset is likely to complete, and you would expect the reversal towards the next bull cycle to happen. And for the next bull cycle is what I have 200K as the target. A minimum expectation, again, that round figure psychology, right? And that next cycle, I can only imagine, you get to 150 plus or something. You'll have all the media, all the influencers, all the whosoever's of the crypto OGs, etc. I can see that 200K round figure number being touched at exchanges, but then there could be a climax move. Yeah, that euphoric move where you just go berserk, right? So somewhere of these levels, right, where the RSI just goes crazy on a monthly level, right? That we'll see, but it's for the next cycle that I think this target is what makes sense. But for that to happen, majority needs to be flushed out. So relief rally, continue the downtrend. We'll see which of these blocks kind of make sense. And from a strategy standpoint, I'm not going to wait for price to catch the price at the ultimate bottom. These already, let's say starting from 38 odd K, right? They already would be levels which participants would look to front run. We may never even get to this zone 3 of my 3-month support. Hell, we might just even find reversal somewhere in this block, right? But that's where you can't time the bottom. You just have capital preservation, capital available at your hand to deploy, and sit on your hands to have the market and the price reach those levels. So it's the patience and the execution is what you can control, right? Okay, coming back then to the immediate opportunity that I think is more on alts. If we go back to, okay, let's go back first to the, where's the, you see the dominance, right? Yeah, so on dominance, I don't know to whom it would feel like this is strength. Yeah, it's just consolidating under major kind of resistance. This 3-month red cluster that's here, but it's been sitting and hovering under these two price bands. On the monthly as well, it's a that bearish looking consolidation, right? Pretty much what Bitcoin did now that it broke down from that 74K and under the 50-week moving average, something on those lines, right? It's not healthy, so what it's telling me is that the money from Bitcoin is about to, in the near future, flow to alts, right? That's what the Bitcoin dominance kind of interprets and tells and informs, etc. So if Bitcoin has stopped, we're looking for a relief rally as the next play. The dominance is looking weak. Where's the opportunity in alts? For charts, assets, coins which are strong against Bitcoin for their assets, right? I only talk about coins that I am either interested in or have bought or have positions in, etc., or are of interest to me. I don't spread myself too thin across these assets. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is the good old OG XRP. And the reason I will is show me a chart. Show me a chart of an altcoin which is as strong as XRP on its Bitcoin pair. Show me a chart. Right? After all the beat down Bitcoin has taken, XRP on its USD pair has taken, this pivot has held for the last 12 odd plus months. So it broke out here. We are here 14 months. Yeah. It's testing this level again and again. The more time you test the support, it gets weak. I completely agree. It's valid. But I'm willing to take the risk that if this was to break, if this was to break from where the price is today, and maybe it comes back and tests this high, 43%, 44%, this block 53%, am I willing to digest a 53% drop on XRP? I am. I'm sitting in my spot. I don't give a shit if it goes to, that's my strategy, right? That's the strategy that has worked well for me, and there is a exponential amount of gains and an equivalent amount of risk associated with all. So choose your poison, right? If you want the returns, if you want the exponential gains, you should be able to digest a 50-60% retracement as well, or 90% retracement, as most alts have had, and jumped back from their 2017, 2018 kind of low pivots to the highs in 2021. So you waited for about 4 years, 3 years to see those kind of returns, instant returns, right? As of now, this is holding that monthly low from 2017 November onwards. Okay, there's your double bottom. Look at the RSI getting flat out above 50. Look at the monthly 50-week moving average holding as support. There's I don't know, there's no other chart for an alt from back in 2017, 2016 onwards which has basically sustained the storm or the beat down over these years, has not gone away, and for the last 14-15 months has just been chilling, consolidating, and whosoever wanted to sell is just letting them sell and absorb all of that pressure before its next move. Before its next move is what my thinking is, right? Very, very clear in my mind. I will sell all of my XRP when I see XRP BTC in this zone. I'll start selling it around. So this is 7,200 sats. This is about 8,000. So yeah, between 8,000 to 10,000, I would presume. Sats is where my XRP spot holdings will be cut, irrespective of whatever is the USD price on XRP and wherever Bitcoin is hovering. So the relief rally that I talked about that's the point where the money is likely to flow to the alts. And in my mind, to select few alts, they may not all be going berserk to the moon, to the Mars, or whatever is the terminology you want to use. It will be the select one. So I'm just putting my chips in select few and trusting that. Looking at the weekly, same consolidation, holding this level until proven otherwise. This is the 200-week moving average compressed, so it has to make a decision sooner or later. And yeah, it's 40 again, around the levels where you would expect the price to make kind of a good reaction against. Bollinger Band compressing, good, very good. That decision is coming. Standard Ichimoku messed up. Don't really see the Ichimoku on the well, I do actually, but it's just messy at the moment. Yeah, so compressed between the 50 and the 200 and the Bollinger compression. So XRP is definitely one. Whether it makes or goes to that 8,000 Satoshis to 10,000 Satoshi in this retracement. So if the retracement happens, say we're looking at around, let's say 100K Bitcoin on the retracement at a minimum, and XRP goes on its mega retracement as it did in November of 2017 on the retracement move which Bitcoin did, then that should translate to minimum of $8 XRP. I'm not saying it's going to happen. That's a probability scenario which I am not excluding that could happen. And XRP is known to have these, upthrust, which it takes everyone out of surprise, and you never know. So that spot bag that I've got on XRP goes away at whatever is the USD price on Bitcoin once I see XRP BTC flirting with these levels. Right. The next one, I am kind of interested in Solana. Before we go on to that, just on the XRP chart, the USD pair, look, let me just go to the Binance one. That's a bit more, don't want to disrupt my main drawings, but look, you see this back in 2023, this is the high. So in my mind, what I was looking for is this zone as kind of objective number one. If kind of shit hits the fan kind of a thing on price and there's a bear market or a deeper correction, then this level at around 94 cents is what I was expecting the price would find the buyers to step in and you would see a reversal. Now at present, it seems like there's a front run off that level, right? But the probability is still open where the price can hover around this zone before ultimately going away up. And that would happen only if Bitcoin shits the bed and goes to that 53K zone that we saw earlier, right? So for that bull scenario of relief rally around Bitcoin and XRP kind of finding its way to that 8,000 Satoshi or somewhere on those levels, right? Objective on the USD here would be to start seeing daily closes above 1.5, 1.6, right? Right now it's under that level on the weekly. So I do not want to see, for that bull scenario to come to fruition on XRP in the relief. what would be the invalidation of that is price kind of keeps getting rejected from this pivot, and then that would mean that this just increases the scenario that this goes here. Okay, so the first objective here for price on XRP USD would be to get live and find getting closes above here 1.6. So let's just pull up the indicators to see what those are telling us. So it's testing this block here, which is good, which means there might be some sideways movement or whatnot. These moving averages, these bands kind of need to reset themselves before any parabolic moves, as you can see here on the left hand side. This is from back in 2024, right? For you to kind of experience this, the way XRP works is you got to go through shit like this, right? It just comes with the package, I'm afraid. So XRP is one. Coming to Solana, I am interested in Solana, right? It's been the big runner the last couple of years, 3 years, and the cycle, but the chart is just horrendous, to say the least. So I am not a buyer, even though I want to. I am interested in the asset. I am just not a buyer on Solana on the USD chart. There's just too much liquidity for it to give away, and the amount of money, the amount of participants that are in Solana or have been or gotten into Solana the last few years just makes it a very crowded trade for me on the current prices that I see the price on. What I would be interested is to see if the price can find itself. I can see price bouncing here. A $30 Solana would be very appealing, enticing, but not that comfortable in the sense that I would be comfortable that I can buy it and not see a further downturn of the price. So while I'm comfortable holding the spot and see a 50% XRP BTC go that trajectory, I'm not that too much on Solana BTC, just where the price stands with its USD as well as its BTC pair, which I'll flash up in a minute. But this zone here, anything under 20, definitely this bottom zone, yeah, that's a buy. You would be mad to not put some chips in this asset, right? So a nasty head and shoulders. It's got this level of 78 breached. But guys, really, this was the 3,609% move. Let's see. This is 77% retracement on the current low. Or is it? And this would be, alls usually. I can see a wick here. So I'll if the opportunity doesn't come on Solana to buy some at 17, 14, fine. That's fine. I'll digest that, but I can't buy this at the current price, essentially. Like I said, I talk about alts which I'm interested in or I have a position on. So it's my point of view for those alts. On the Solana BTC chart, it's closer to this support block, so we'll see how the reaction occurs. But again, there's no divergence as such. In its USD terms, it still is too inflated in my opinion. I would be interested if I see Solana BTC somewhere in this zone. I won't lie. If it's anywhere here or there's a wick breaking this, then that would then coincide with that under $25-$20 Solana that we can buy with a lot more comfort and security in my mind. So Solana would be the second, but I'm just not interested in Solana from a buying perspective, but I have it on my watch list. Okay, so I've got the position banking on the relief rally for XRP, which has been my long-term holding for a good long time. Another one is CRV. I know this is getting a lot of shit, but I just find the chart to be too enticing to basically just not put some chips. I've in all transparency kind of just doubled my spot back position. I bought this. The CRV BTC chart. Look, from this price point, from here, like under 18 cents, if it goes under there and dies, goes to zero, then be it. Then there's nothing that I or anyone else can do about it. If it goes to zero, it goes to zero. But it would be foolish to not buy this, right? From these levels, the last time the price was on these levels, it gave a let's go 600 odd 500% returns from this, and from the ultimate low, if anyone was able to catch it, 643% returns. So think of it, price even right now, it's at like a macro bottom. So if you're not risking any at these levels, then what are you doing, kind of a thing, right? Like, I don't chase these green candles. I would rather put some chips in the asset at around these levels and be happy, and digest that minimum downturn or letting it go to zero. Then I want to ride this. I wanna at the bare minimum ride this, right? So this is my position. Yeah, I want to ride this. I want this 70%, 70x, right? I want this 76.77 RR, which, yeah, you can see. So I think $3 or this pivot makes sense. $3. Let's see. We'll see. Time will tell, but I've just doubled my spot positions here. Again, let me bring up the main drawings on this one. Yeah, you can see that on the RSI. I don't know. We'll see. Probably the best. There might be others, but for me, at least, for the alts that I track, this seems like the best R2R, risk to reward kind of a narrative play. And given the time it's spent, under $1, the time it's spent under this pivot, $1 and a change. That's about, let's mark it out, right, from this candle onwards. 1,351 days. When it gets the upthrust, and I'm saying when, not if, when it gets the upthrust, believe you me, it will just be candles like these, only 3 times in continuation. So you'll get this, there's the bars one, right? So you'll get you'll just probably get this from a broader, weekly or a monthly candles will kind of look like this. That's what I think about CRV. So double that, and we will see how. And again, these to the extreme highs, right? When I say XRP $8, $6, or $10, probability, it might happen with the relief rally, which the Bitcoin performs, and that would be under the assumption 125k was the top for the cycle, and maybe for the next year plus or 2 years, I don't know, we could go into like a broader secular bear market, and you never know. But 74k broken, assume 125k is the top for a good period of time. We should see a relief, and then that relief is where the distribution of the Bitcoin money comes to alts, and then we all have a big brilliant alt season, and then the market resets, or we still see no alt season, follow the same cycle as the last one, where Bitcoin makes that extreme drawdown, 35k, 30k, 25, whatever that number is, and then the market resets. Bitcoin starts to move towards that 200k over the course of 24 months, 18 months, whatever. And but that high of a Bitcoin USD price is when we see a $8 XRP or $10 XRP or a $3 CRV, a $6 CRV, or $10+ CRV, $500 Solana, $1,000 Solana, right? So it's either of those two. Yeah. Like I said, in the interim, to what I think the market is going to give us is that relief rally, and the bankable and more ROI is in the alts which are strong against Bitcoin. Let's just quickly go through gold, BTC. So I had marked out this zone from the 3-month chart as the level which I felt, call it capitulation, call it bottom, whatever, that people would exit, or basically indicate to me that Bitcoin against gold is now ready to reset. You see the RSI level? That's capitulation, breaking the previous cycle's low point on RSI. That's capitulation. On the monthly, capitulation for the RSI. Weekly, dusted. It's at a zone, or it's at that point where it's never been in history. So it's extremely depressed, this chart, which is Bitcoin against gold. Okay. Another kind of strong confluence is the 0.786. So this move which was 356% over the course of 763 days is now almost 78 to 80% corrected. That's your reversal zone. That is your reversal zone, right? So the level I had marked on the sides of the 3-month chart breached. That's a capitulation level, which I was thinking. It's been breached. 0.786. Now, what can happen is, I think this already is capitulation. This is your buying zone. This is the opportunity of maximum returns. So again, adding to the narrative that a relief rally at the bare minimum is on the charts, right? Another kind of thing I noticed, you see this as a range, right? High, low, lower, high. Then we kind of formed a a double bottom, yeah. So this here, and then we broke out of the range back in 2021. It kind of feels the same. I know in the retracement it took out the highs, but I think it's fine. Look, it's a range. You know, here we only came up about 80% of retracement, here almost about 100%. I think it already is a capitulation. And can a double bottom happen, which means there might be a bit more downside left? Yeah. Am I willing to take the risk and just wait for Bitcoin to further capitulate against gold at these levels to mark a reversal for Bitcoin? No. There are participants who are aggressive, who will always front run, so I'm not going to risk that. And you would then, going by history, look to, you know, have something on these lines in some form or shape, right? In some form or shape. If that makes sense. We'll see. I hope this was helpful as a content if you're in the market, crypto, Bitcoin, alts, etc. I think this very well presented as to what's the next play in the market. And again, the thing I would kind of say to you guys is, market is, you have to trade the market that it presents itself, not the market. You have to trade the market as is, right? If I was saying I was bullish on XYZ, I was looking at the data, I was looking at the charts and the candle at that point in time. Markets overall are very dynamic, right? So you have to always be on the hook and be flexible and be humble enough to say, market has now changed. If I have to survive, if I have to thrive, I have to change with it for the data, for what I see on the chart. What the market is telling me is on the chart, not what I want to see on the chart. That's the big difference. That's where the winners and the participants who were not successful in these markets or other markets, that's what the difference, and that's where the distinction is between, unfortunately, the winners and the losers. Right, so we are where we are. Let's go with the acceptance that the market trend has now officially broken, and at this point, it's a probability game where, from a probability standpoint, it looks like a relief rally is more logical, and the first major hurdle of that relief rally will be this, maximum is this, and then you would expect the price to find its way down further. Is there an invalidation for that as well? Yeah, just establish this block 108, 114k as support, and then continue to your new all-time highs. Then that means we are not heading lower, and 60k formed the bottom for the cycle, and this, all of this here, let me take this out, right? That's your 70k pivot, right? So all of this here was just a deviation. If the price is able to, establish itself as support here, relief rally, get rejected, have this as support, and then continue, form this as support, then continue to all-time highs. That's the invalidation that the market trend has again switched from a downtrend to an uptrend. Simple, nothing complicated, right? So patience, discipline, and more important, risk management, preservation of your capital, and being ready to adapt as and what the market presents to you. Brilliant. With that, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and until next time, cheers.